I'm Amy Cherry. This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota, here to wow ya. A longtime Palm Coast physician facing accusations of sexually assaulting a patient is expected to surrender his license in November as part of a disciplinary agreement. John Arking has the details.
Brad Dalton, a spokesman for the Florida Department of Health, said Thursday that Dr. Florence Prue agreed to voluntarily relinquish his license and will no longer practice medicine at Palm Coast Urgent Care or anywhere else for that matter. Fruhan was under investigation by the Department of Health, which had imposed restrictions on his practice June 29th, pending the outcome of their investigation. A separate investigation by the Flagler County Sheriff's Office, which is ongoing, began after a 54-year-old Palm Coast woman alleged Fruhan had asked inappropriate questions, took her into a room where they were alone, and then proceeded to grope her. Fruhan had faced a previous allegation of sexual battery by another patient in 2006, but that charge was dropped. He'd also had 2 arrests for battery in the 1990s, but those charges were also dropped. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm John Arking.
This portion of WNZF Local News, a service of the Daytona Beach International Airport. Fly to the Big Apple in a New York minute on JetBlue from the Daytona Beach International Airport.
A young man adds to his lengthy criminal record with an arrest over alleged death threats, Tony Magoo reports.
Jesse Fischer is a 19-year-old that has been on probation since pleading to 3 counts of aggravated assault last year. Well, Jesse was arrested again Tuesday night and booked without bond for making racially tinged death threats in Palm Coast. He was cruising around in a car with 40-year-old Eric Beck of Port Lucie, who is also on probation. Beck's truck slid off the road and crashed into 2 vehicles in a driveway on Burroughs Drive. Both Beck and Fischer got out of the vehicle and started chasing 3 young adults while yelling racial slurs at them. When deputies arrived, they concluded that the wreck was unintentional, but Beck was cited for reckless driving. Charges were filed on Fischer, who was arrested and booked at the jail where he remains. Adjudication had been withheld on Fischer's previous case, but that case has been reopened now that he's violated the conditions of his plea agreement, and he may face stricter penalties. For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Tony Magoo.
A Palm Coast Home Depot employee is arrested on retail theft charges. Flagler County Sheriff's deputies say the employee was caught on camera allowing customers to leave the store with hundreds of dollars in merchandise they didn't purchase. Deputies say the employee, who was a cashier, would ring up some items and exclude others and then allow the customer to walk away with all of them. Deputies say the employee admitted the thefts to a store manager and says he was in financial crisis. Saying goodbye to Sea Ray, many workers finished up their final shift in Flagler Beach Thursday and had a late lunch together at Woody's in Palm Coast. About 70 or so are accepting jobs in Edgewater with Boston Whaler, which is also owned by Sea Ray's parent company, Brunswick. The last boat rolled off the assembly line at the plant weeks ago. The factory is set to close for good by the end of October. And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Amy Cherry.